You are not empty because you are doing nothing. You are empty because you are doing too much from the wrong place. And before your mind tries to argue with that, let me say this clearly. There is nothing weak, broken, or lazy about you. If anything, you have been trying harder than most people ever notice. Harder to stay consistent, harder to stay calm, harder to stay functional, harder to stay ahead of the version of you are afraid of becoming. This isn't a failure story, it's a pressure story. Trying harder doesn't always come from desire. Sometimes it comes from fear, fear of failing behind, fear of disappointing people, fear of becoming irrelevant, fear of slowing down and finally feeling everything you have been outrunning. So you keep moving, you keep pushing, you keep showing up even when something inside you feels quite flat or numb. And on the outside, your life might look fine. You are functioning, you are capable, you are doing what needs to be done. But inside, you feel heavy for no clear reason. Rest doesn't feel restoring, progress doesn't feel satisfying. Even wins feel strangely hollow. You are not unhappy, you are just not nourished. And that's confusing because you are doing all the right things. You are trying to improve yourself, understand yourself, fix what's not working. So, why does it feel like the more effort you put in, the less connected you feel to yourself? Why does trying harder leave you more drained, not more fulfilled? Here's what actually happening. At some point, effort stopped being a choice. It became a requirement. Not because someone said it out loud, but because nervous system learned a rule. I am allowed to relax after I have done enough. I'm allowed to rest after I have proven something. I am allowed to feel okay once I'm better, calmer, stronger, more consistent. So, effort become a condition for safety. And when effort becomes survival, it stops being energizing. It becomes exhausting because your body isn't responding to purpose anymore. It's responding to pressure. Pressure sounds like don't fall behind, don't waste time. You should be further by now. If you stop, everything will collapse. And when pressure is the fuel, your system never actually settles. It stays alert, braced, tight. That's why, even on days when nothing goes wrong, you still feel tense. That's why slowing down feels uncomfortable instead of peaceful. That's why doing nothing feels heavier than doing too much. Your nervous system isn't resting, it's waiting, waiting for the next demand, the next expectation, the next internal voice that says, okay, but what's next? This is where the emptiness starts. Not because you lack meaning, but because your effort isn't connected to you anymore. It's connected to who you think you need to be to stay acceptable, safe, or valuable. When effort is driven by identity, pressure, it drains instead of builds. Because you are not moving towards something, you are moving away from something, away from guilt, away from self criticism, away from the fear of being not enough. And avoidance energy is expensive, it burns through you quietly. This is why the pattern keeps repeating. You stay strong, you feel clear, motivated, focused. Then something shifts. Not because you lost discipline, but because your system hits overload. The pressure catches up, the inner expectations tighten, the joy drains out. So you slow down, or shut down, or disappear for a while. And then comes the shame. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just stay consistent? Other people seem to manage this. So you promise yourself you will try harder next time. And the cycle resets. Efforts, pressure, drain, withdrawal, guilt. That's not a motivation issue. That's a self trust issue being eroded by pressure. Because every time you override exhaustion, your body learns it can't trust you to listen. Every time you push past a quiet no, your system learns safety is conditional. And slowly, without realizing it, you start losing access to your own signals. You don't know when you are tired until you are depleted. You don't know when you need to rest until you are numb. You don't know what you want anymore, only what you should do. And that's the hidden cost of it. Not just fatigue, but disconnection. Disconnection from your own body, from your intuitions, from your internal yes and no. You stop feeling like a person, you start feeling like a project, something to manage, optimize, fix. And even when you improve, it doesn't land because improvement without permission doesn't feel safe. It feels like another demand. That's why the emptiness feels so confusing. You are doing more but feeling less. Less present, less alive, less like yourself. The part of you that slows down, resists, or shuts off is not sabotaging you, it's protecting you. It's only part of you that still remembers what it feels like to be human instead of constantly evaluated. Your nervous system isn't failing, it's saying, this place isn't safe. This pressure isn't sustainable. This effort isn't coming from the truth. And when protection is mistaken for failure, you fight yourself. But when protection is recognized, something softens because then effort doesn't have to stop. It just has to change its source. Not from fear, not from guilt, not from I have to, but from internal permission. This is where regulation begins, not as a technique, but as a relationship shift. You don't fix emptiness by pushing more meaning into your life. You fix it by removing the conditions you have attached to rest, worth, and safety. That starts quietly by letting exhaustion exist without explaining it, by allowing pauses without turning them into productivity plans, by noticing when effort feels tight instead of assuming it's virtuous. This isn't about doing less forever, it's about doing things without abandoning yourself in the process. Because the moment your system learns it won't be punished for slowing down, something changes. Energy returns, not as urgency, but as clarity. Consistency returns, not as a force, but as a trust. Purpose returns, not as a pressure, but as a choice. And emptiness starts to lift, not because you filled it, but because you stopped draining yourself to earn the right to exist. And lastly, you don't have to take efforts to prove anything. When you rest, you don't need to justify. And slowing down doesn't mean you are failing behind. So, stop holding all that heaviness in your chest and let it go. And if this put words to something you have been carrying quietly, stay here. Real growth and raw healing. I hear you and I love you.